Hello and welcome to today's historic Best of 3 deck tech and gameplay video on Boros Aggro. Boros Aggro is, just as the name would imply, a good old aggressive deck. Now, this deck tech, since it's not a tribal deck, will just simply work up the curve from lowest to highest. We have, in the 1-drops, we have 4 Soul-Scar Mages. A good 1-drop gets big and gets bigger from prowess and lets you deal with opposing creatures positively. 2 copies of Faithless Looting, ability to draw and pitch away dead cards to look for what you need. We, as a red deck, enjoy card draw where we can get it. 2 drops, we have 3 Earthshaker Khenras, a nice 2-mana little hasty threat that can turn off a blocker for a turn, and in the late game, after the first Earthshaker Khenra has died, we can always eternalize it to give us a card to use once we have a lot of mana and nothing to do, as well as just make a big, scary beater to close out the game. 4 copies of Runaway Steam-Kin as a little ramper, as well as a creature that can grow to be a little bit scary if left unchecked. And sometimes or really more times than you would think, just being able to ramp in a red deck is more useful than one would imagine. We have 4 copies of Lightning Helix as a simple deal 3, heal 3, which is nice both for reach against our opponent to go over the top, or to say cover our own life total against the aggro mirror. Also run 2 copies of Rip Apart in the main board and another 2 in the sideboard. Rip Apart just gives us an incredibly wide range of removal, be it targeting creatures or walkers or artifacts or enchantments. It's so versatile in what it can do, we don't mind the sorcery speed drawback. And to be honest, if it was instant speed, it might actually be broken. 3 drops. 4 Skyclave Apparitions. I love this card a lot, as most people will know. It's just a removal spell on a body, which is very nice in an aggressive deck, to being able to get basically a 2-for-1 value. Ahn-Crop Crasher. Nice 3-mana 3/2 haster that can not only just apply pressure from being a hasting creature at 3, can also turn off blockers. Run 2 copies of Bonecrusher Giants, 2-for-1 value, a stomping and send over top, or a nice beefy 4/3 body with a little bit of a punishment if you try to remove it is very nice. 4 copies of Light Up the Stage for some impulse draw. 4 copies of Skewer the Critics for burn, be it going over the top to our opponent's face or getting opposing creatures out of the way. And the last card at the top end is Showdown of the Skalds. We have 1 copy. A sort of way for us to get the last little bit of gas we might need if we don't have, say, Light Up the Stage. And the ability to make our creatures bigger is nice just because bigger creatures do more damage, but it also has a sort of hidden interaction of, say, we can put the 1/1 counters on a Steam-Kin to sort of get an extra, or get potentially extra uses out of the remove 3, gain 3 red little clause. That's the reason why we're running Showdown of the Skalds and not something like Experimental Frenzy. Although, if you don't have particularly Showdown of the Skalds, just some sort of red card draw enchantment thing will be fine. Dealer's choice. Lands, honestly, pretty simple. 4 Sacred Foundries, shock lands, good fixing. I have 2 of the red-white pathways as a sort of color fixing. You don't want to run too many of these because they aren't plains or mountains, because we're running 4 of the Furycalm Snarl. Again, pretty easy to get these things to almost always come down untapped. There are instances where, say, it won't be, whether you have other Furycalms in hand or the pathways are 2 copies of Castle Ardenvales. But both of those cards are useful enough that we don't mind the sort of anti-synergy there. And then we have just 4 plains and 7 mountains, since we are a primarily red deck. And that is the main board. We'll talk about the sideboard real fast. And with the new change to the how many cards you can have in your best of 1 sideboard, if you're playing this deck in best of 1, I have not thought about which ones I would put in my best of 1 sideboard because I don't play best of 1. So you might have to do a little bit of homework by yourself if you're trying to run this in best of one and you want to make use of your sideboard. Anywho, on to the actual cards. 2 copies of Grafdigger's Cage. This helps to mess up opposing graveyard decks, as well as really it gets like Coco and Muxus, which is a bit of a boogeyman that sneaks around the format every once in a while. 3 copies of Rest in Peace. This is like hard graveyard hate, not only exiling all graveyards just period, as well as making it whenever anything would basically die or go to the graveyard, he gets exiled instead. A really nice sort of catch-all removal to any of that annoying graveyard stuff. 2 copies of Rampaging Ferocidon, both as a life gain hate and a way to also punish decks that go particularly wide. Something like even a Goblins or an Elves. And the ability for it to just be a 3-mana, 3/3 menace is nice on top of all of the other 2 clauses. Much like the Skyclave Apparition, it's one of those we like the tech card on a body since we are an aggressive deck. 2 more copies of Rip Apart. Should we really need to bring in more artifact or enchantment removal is really what this is for. 2 copies of Teferi's Protection against your like very board wipe heavy, your blue-white based control decks. A couple of Teferi's Protections are pretty nice. Can also be some weird sort of like anti-aggro card technically. But our main anti-aggro card is we're 2 Wrath of Gods. We are a aggro deck at heart, and it does suck to lose our own board, but sometimes opposing decks can just go faster than us, like your Elves, like your Goblins, something like that. And it's just nice to have the option to sort of panic Wrath of God if you need to sort of like cut a claw back. And the last card, we have 2 Chandra Awaken Infernos as a nice little thing to bring in against control decks, or even the occasional mid-range deck, since it can't be countered. Means it's for the most part going to stick, as well as when it does stick, even if you're able to just uptick it once, it's a nice way to sort of put a clock on a game against a control deck that would normally be able to go toe-to-toe with you over the long game. And that is the actual base deck. With that all out of the way, we'll go right into game number 1. Game number 1 with Boros Aggro. And again, we'll go first. Honestly, pretty good hand. It is a 2-lander, but we're a pretty low to the ground deck, so we don't really mind that. We'll go ahead and keep it. Probably just play a Steam-Kin on 2, should nothing crazy happen from our opponent. If our opponent is here. Wait a minute, but it's all good. I've had to step away for a second. I get it. Life finds a way and all that. We'll go ahead and play the Snarl on turn 1 and reveal the Foundry. We'll go ahead and keep the Faithless Looting since you want to really keep it to get rid of dead cards. Yes, our opponent does appear to be here since they hovered over the Snarl. Island from our opponent. Siren Storm Tamer. So we might... I'm going to go ahead and actually stomp this, since if I allow the mono blue tempo deck to get a foothold early, I might never, like, get back the game. They didn't have a land, which is good. We'll go ahead and Steam-Kin. Opponent might have an Opt or Flashy Pirate Boy, whose name I can't remember. Stern Dismissal? I mean, it's a better unsummon, kind of. Okay. Try it again. Our opponent does have priorities, so they have something to do. Lofty Denial, that's good. We might just bring in... We're missing land drops, but they're probably going to have counters. We'll play the Steam-Kin, but really fast. I think when Game 2 hits, we'll probably just bring in a couple Chandras. Even though Mono Blue Temples will mono blue tempos will often have your what's the word? Aether Gust, are your like stack based counters. Still worthy enough to bring in. Our opponent has counters for days, counters for days. Just play a Soul-Scar. We just gotta make them use all the counter spells they have. Or all their bounces or what have you. Alright. Trickster from our opponent. See what they do on their main phase. Do they attack? Well, that would imply they didn't have a... like a Curious Obsession or some style effect like that. I think we'll just go ahead and try and rip apart the Trickster. This way, if they happen to bounce their Soul-Scar, if nothing else, we can just play it again. Let's see. If they have a Trickster again in hand, losing abilities won't terribly matter. So I think we can attack. They have something, but it's a mono blue tempo. They could have anything from... Yep. To be fair, that is a good thing to do. Saves you a couple points of damage. Curious Obsession from our opponent. This is going to be a bit of a pain in the butt, but I think we can make something happen. There's no point to shock things in. Let's go ahead and play a Skyclave. Again, if they have counters or your spell pierces, you just gotta make them happen. Oh, well... I could have shocked to pay for that Lofty Denial, but the health is actually kind of important. To our opponent's credit, they're doing very good. See if they counter the Soul-Scar Mage. Or maybe I can sneak in like a Skewer or something. Probably can't. I am fully aware of this reality that I find myself inhabiting. Okay, it dies. They might just play the Borrower, however. Next turn, we'll play a Soul-Scar first to try and bait out counterspells. You know, we might actually bring in some Rip-Aparts, simply because we'll probably need more removal spells, weirdly. Plains is nice, so we'll do Soul-Scar. Then we'll do... I'm going to use, a Faithless Looting to try and get them to, like, get rid of a counterspell they don't. Or they might have, so I can resolve the Apparition, hopefully. They could have another Lofty Denial, which would suck, to be fair. We'll go ahead and get rid of you and you. Submit. Oh, they have something here. We'll go ahead and play an Apparition first, and we'll just hold on to a Lightning Helix. Because I would be very surprised if this happens to resolve. Yeah, that'll do it. We die pretty much no matter what happens here, which is a little unfortunate. But to our opponent's credit, they are playing this correctly. Yep, we're not even going to wait. Okay. Probably some Chandras. Those are pretty useful. I I don't think the light up the stages are going to be terribly useful here. Hi, sweet cat. Maybe like one Wrath of God, so we don't feel like we're immediately screwed. God, I love this background. I'm not gonna lie, the Wither Bloom sort of like art in their lands and stuff is very pretty. Isn't that right, baby girl? Our opponent is really sideboarding. I mean, maybe they have their like Cerulean Drakes of the game and stuff like that. As well as your Ether Gust, I imagine, is probably what's occupying our opponent's time here sideboarding. Isn't that right, baby girl? Yeah, you tell him. I'll come play in a little bit, you goob. As our opponent takes forever. I'm not gonna lie, I might have to cut out this waiting. If I did or not. Honestly, having the Chandra in our opening hand is kind of a good thing. Again, we have a good land to hand, or land to spell ratio. So we'll go ahead and keep it. Again, revealing a Foundry. We are not going to bother to loot here since we kind of have good cards in the hand. Probably just, old Spirit Boy. Spectral Sailor, that's the name. See what our opponent does. Because they missed the land drop, I'm actually going to try and capitalize on this and push aggression. That might literally be the only, like, brick I'm going to get out of them, so I gotta try and make something happen with it. Okay, they missed again, which again, I'll take whatever wins I can get. We'll go ahead and get rid of this Sailor now. And again, we're just going to push damage and try and close out a game. You are crazy, Jet. I love you. They did get a land drop, which is something, to be fair. Again, we're just going to go ahead and try and swing in. Trickster probably targeting down a Steam-Kin, but I will totally exert this bad boy. I will Skyclave Apparition down the Trickster. Again, we want to just keep applying pressure. We cannot afford to let up. They bricked. I'll take whatever wins I can get. Gotta go for the throat and all that stuff. Land from our opponent. Might have a bounce spell. Bouncing the Apparition would kind of suck. We're just going to go ahead and cast the Chandra now. Odds are you can't counter it and deal with my board. So you're going to have to pick one. Dealing with my board, bouncing a thing, whatever it might be, will at least let you live for a turn. If you bounce the Steam-Kin, or not, go ahead and uptick the Chandra. Maybe a disallow to counter the uptick? Yeah, you tell us, punch, Chandra girl. Swinging for lethal, but there's no way he just lets this resolve. Probably bounces the Steam-Kin, I imagine. Because that actually buys him a turn. What he can do with a turn, you know, remains to be seen and all that jazz. But even if he bounces the Steam-Kin or chump blocks it, wow, that is bold. You gotta have a real particular thing here. Because you are down to 1, my man. believe you and your sister are in there at least having a good time and being loving sisters and all that jazz. I don't know what saves our opponent here. Good game, and maybe he just scoops. Isn't that right, baby girl?
Okay, jeez, enough.
Alright! Take what we can get. Yeah. Again, if our our opponent takes an equally long time, I might have to edit out the waiting part. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just be lazy and pump this bad boy out. As I often am. Okay. So that would imply our game one. Our opponent really sideboarded the hell out of this. So they have some silver bullets in there waiting to mess my ass up. 2 lands, things to do, couple removal spells, and we go on the draw. Okay, that's... I'm not in love with this hand. But I think it's too good to just, like, throw away. Go ahead and reveal a plains. See what our opponent does here. They don't play a creature, which is awfully telling. We'll go ahead and play a Khenra, since they probably have a counterspell of some description. Like that. And right now we just want to try and bait out some removal spells and stuff. It's a little unfortunate here. Oh god. We'll go ahead and try the Rip Apart, since the Lightning Helix can help us stabilize our life total. Again, this probably gets countered, but you just gotta make them use it. Okay, they had a negate, so I sure as shit wasn't gonna get the Helix off. They are drawing a lot. If they just keep on having answers, we might just eventually lose. Again, gonna just try and make them have it. God damn! Yeah, this is really, really bad. Okay, so they would have been able to counter it and played a creature. Pretty much no matter what would have happened. I have a land, so I can maybe work my way to Wrath of God. That'd be great. That's not a land. Try again. Oh, no. No, they have something. God. Well, no, you could sacrifice it, and... You could sacrifice the Storm Tamer, yeah, and make the Helix fizzle so I don't get the life gain. That is the correct way to play that. I had not even considered that, like the dumb I am. Not gonna lie, this is a little brutal. A land would be great, game! That is not a land. It's decidedly not a land. I'm just gonna loot and try and get away... Throw away the dead cards here. You're a dead card. Honestly, the Crop Crasher is kind of a dead card. It sucks to not be able to remove it this turn, but at least I have fucking lands. Oh, God. Okay, if I... Wait, what? 4... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8... Oh, they probably... Well... Is there anything I... If I draw an untapped land, I can... Okay, if they have the counter, we can maybe win. Or if they don't have the counter, we can maybe win. They probably have it. Looks like they're going to look for it with a Sailor. They might already have it, and this might be some big B in play. Which would be kind of a dick move, to be fair. We're alive! Ah, hell. Good game. I still like to think we've showed the deck, like, it still did a good thing, and was a good showing. Anywho, on to game number 2. Game number 2 of Boros Aggro. Go ahead and play first. Equal split, basically, of lands and spells. Can't ask for much more. Probably just play some Snarls and reveal the same mountain over and over. See what our opponent wants to do. Although the fact we're on the Ravnica map and our opponent is using the Boros little avatar portrait, I'm sure there's some accidental synergy, if you want to call it that, going on. Again, revealing the same mountain. Go ahead and play a Steam-Kin. Nothing else. Probably just play that mountain and a Ahn-Crop Crasher next turn. Ooh, draw 2. Alright. This could either be some draw 2 stuff, or maybe some like Jeskai cycling stuff. But I enjoy it. I haven't seen that card in a hot minute. So, what, is it draw 2? It is cycling, okay. I think we can do something, though. I think we got that. Second card, right? Yeah. Alright, I'm not gonna lie, that's, like, really kind of annoying, but that's fine. Probably just play... Yeah. Both the Steam-Kins and just try and make some shit happen. Really, he just eats it. Alright. That is a thing you can do. It in fact resolves. Looking for the second spell. Have a cycling. Make your fairy tokens, my man. I think we'll just start sending stuff over the top, honestly. If they have a counterspell, they're probably going to use it now. A cycling counterspell is a very nice touch. We'll go ahead and Faithless Looting away some potentially dead cards here. Probably rip apart in the plains here, so we'll just cash in 1 and just start sending stuff over the top, baby! Doing that burn thing. That really stupid burn thing. Yo, dog, I heard you like burn spells. We'll probably just exert down one of these as a blocker. Doesn't really matter which one. I think... Well, hang on. No, they can... I was about to say they could live. I don't know what we bring in this game. Draw 2. Maybe they're probably not going to let us do too much crazy shit. So maybe some light up the stages can, or some spectacle cards can come out. Actually, maybe some Chandras. They probably, I mean, they've clearly shown to have some counter spells. And I imagine they might try and, like, control us out, maybe? Okay, that's fine. 2 lands, but a buttload of things to do with the spells in hand. Honestly, pretty good. Soul-Scar on 1, Steam-Kin on 2, at which point we'll just try and capitalize and press our advantage. My money's on the Brazen Borrower bounce. Right? I don't remember what the actual... A Censor? I mean... Chandra's an even better one. But yeah, I guess in a cycling deck, a Censor's a good kind of spell too. I actually really... Our opponent isn't taking this in some, like, weird, memey sort of, like, fucking sense. They're just trying to do... Draw 2 tribal. It's a mechanic trouble. You have my applause, sir. Sir and or madam, not to be rude in the sim. They might have another... Well, it's 1 mana. I was about to say. I couldn't think of a 1 mana counter spell for creatures. Cycle away a card. I unironically love this. For reference. I think we're just gonna apparition that away though, because if I let that go for too long, we'll be in some real trouble. I think we'll only attack with the Soul-Scar. Let's see. See what our opponent does. They could just play another one. But even if they do, I still stand by the decision that it was the correct thing to do to apparition the Alliance here. I love this card. This is one of those, like... I'm certain that, by the way, in the future, we'll probably do a deck on around, like, draw 2 tribal. I just haven't, like, gotten around to fiddling with it yet. We'll go ahead and Khenra. This way, if they have a Censor, we can pay for the Censor mana. And with the Khenra activated ability that you can see here, we can make this weak little fairy, or not weak, this tiny little fairy, unable to block this turn. Okay, they get the thing. What are they holding? Wait, now, what, another bounce, maybe? If they had a bounce, I think the correct play is to bounce the apparition and get like a 2/2 blocker. I don't think it would terribly matter in the long run of things. But it is, I think, the smartest play here to like give yourself the most like blockers and board to contest this. I mean, that's fucking close enough. Blocks the 2/1. To our opponent's credit, that is a thing that can happen. Honestly, I might just send that over the top. I'm feeling like pretty good. And if nothing else, I do love our opponent's deck here. Into the Royal's a weird one, but it's not bad. Gonna try and bait up that counterspell. Like that. I don't really want to looting away anything here. We might actually just swing. If they take the block, we're just happy to like chip away at their board state. If I were to chuck some things away, I might actually looting away the Crasher and the light up the stage. Yeah. I'm not going to get a whole lot of mileage out of these things right now. And right now we're just trying to get to the appropriate mana to start upticking a Chandra when she comes down. Probable Alliance. Still think we're gonna try and get rid of it. Probably eats a counterspell, to be fair. Now, if they immediately like just bounce it again, it would suck, but I still think it's the correct thing to do. Honestly, I'll actually take that block. I know it might seem crazy to do that, but right now we're just looking to stall for time to get to the Chandra. Our opponent could still, like, very much win this, though.
Let's make this ideas like seconds.
Yeah, you tell him, Teferi. Okay, that's a thing I can do. I can actually get rid of Teferi, which is something. If he phases out the Skyclave, does it still enter the battlefield? I don't actually know how that works. God, if we could draw a land, I would love our life right now. Yeah, we'll go ahead. Again, we're just looking to stall and stall. Hopefully hit a land drop next turn. That's technically a land drop. Okay, so he goes 3 to 4. Think we do this. If he's able to kill us, he'll just be able to, but hopefully Chandra can, like, buy me some time here. If he goes to my face, he has lethal. Right? Whether that be a stomp or whatever, he has to have lethal. That is a bold choice, friend. I guess we light up the stage here. That is not what I want at all. I don't think there's a single card that saves us here. That could have helped. Good game from our opponent, though. Game number 3. Maybe some Wrath of Gods might be kind of useful here. Honestly, yeah, we'll just cut down more of the spectacle cards. I think is the correct play. Granted, it could be wrong, but I think this is the right thing to do, since I think we're gonna kind of have to end up playing like a mid-rangey game, just trying to like match their value, since they have enough like tempo and bouncy tools to like, and even the ability to generate enough chump blockers that I don't know if we can go under it. Alright, that's fine. Let's see. Go ahead and play the pathway for red. Need to make be certain that we played that for red, not white. We'll go ahead and play a Soul-Scar. See what our opponent does. That could be a lot of things. We'll just go ahead and play a Crop Crasher here. This might get bounced, but that's fine. Yeah. We don't super mind right now. We're just trying to, like... I mean, if they don't draw anything, I suppose we can just go under them. Again, we'll just play another Crop Crasher, try and force out all the counter spells and stuff from our opponent that we can. Like Neutralize. I mean, at this rate, we might weirdly be able to actually kind of maybe get him. Although that could just be wishful thinking on my part, to be fair. A red source would be awesome, so I could like play a Steam-Kin and then also hold up like a Stomp. Not gonna lie. Opponent has priority, but they could also just be sitting on a cycling card they might not think about, as I have done many times before. Isn't that right, baby girl? You wanna come hang out with Dad? Yeah! Come on. Come on. You're a cutie patootie, whom I love very much, to be fair. I think we'll just play a light up the stage and look for some lands. This probably eats a counterspell, but I'm okay with that, really. We'll go ahead and, again, play the Steam-Kin. Just gotta make them use their counterspells on meaningless, air quotes you can't see, cards. There we go. This way we can at least sit on our removal spells. And we can just slowly just kind of chip away at them if we need to. Next turn, honestly. I was about to say, you have nothing else.
This isn't my first time being
Eh. Go ahead and play the land, and then we'll just Soul-Scar. And probably just, bolt the, Teferi.
waited too long there.
They can just uptick it, but this does sort of remove the ability for them to phase out my creature, so I can actually just punch down that Teferi, hopefully. And Probable Alliance will do it.
Time to improvise.
So that's one little dude. God damn, that card's actually, like, kind of annoying. Okay, so we're gonna stomp the fairy. They're probably gonna try and uptick, I imagine. They could downtick to phase it out. But if they uptick it to save it, they might look for like a Spell Pierce, which would suck a lot. This is, nothing else that holds Teferi priority. He does do the uptick thing. And fucking annoyingly, that gives him another goddamn chump blocker. Not gonna lie, that shit drives me up a wall, because now he gets to do it all again. I really hope they don't do that particular, like, we can start activating Planeswalkers and instant speed shit anymore. They had this, like, with Teferi Hero being the one exception of just being, like, a classic kind of Planeswalker. I don't know why they view Teferi as this testing ground to, like, do, like, stupid shit. Stupid, what I would call degenerate shit. I don't know how that became, like, the order of the day. But I'm not gonna lie, it drives me up the wall. But to be fair, this sort of, like, kind of tempo-y bullshit game is, like, not something we terribly do well against. Yeah, take your fucking blocker. What's that, 6 mana? Well, you can't activate the ability, I guess. Yeah, you're probably gonna counter it with some dumb shit, but that's fine. I'll play to my outs, but I think my opponent has won. Suppose... Hi, baby girl. I suppose this is one of the faults of me as a player. I try to, like, sort of take on, I guess what you would call, personality traits of the deck I'm playing. And when I spend, like, a couple days with an aggro deck, my patience gets dialed down a lot. Oh, I can do something with that. So, like, my patience for, like, little nickel and dime bullshit like this goes down when I play an aggro deck for several days. I'll be fine.
My past is catching up to me.
Phased out mean I can't do anything, which is fine. But we got rid of the, like, particularly fucking annoying thing, so there's that. Well, we got rid of it for a second. Oh my god. I'm sure you do, dude. I'm sure you do. Okay. I can do something with that. Well, you could phase something out in response.
Time's getting short.
Go ahead and swing both into the Teferi. Because Teferi cards, for some reason, are just, as I mentioned earlier, in my bitchy, moany, and complaining way. are allowed to have, like, stupid game-breaking shit. Because that's the kind of, like, design pigeonhole you kind of have to work with if you have a character that fucks with time. Yeah, make another dude. To our opponent's credit, the deck is very good. And is like isn't that right, baby girl? Is stonewalling the fuck out of us. To the point where I do not think I can win here. I just have to play to my outs to be a responsible player. Ah, fucking shit. Okay, so if he counters it, I cannot eternalize it this turn. Which makes me want to cry. Yeah, do your thing. Okay. This is one of those I'm finishing it out for the video. Know that if I was playing by myself, and if you are at home or playing this deck and find yourself in this particular situation, I would just quit and just move on to the next one. But for the sake of the video, I'll play to my outs in a game that I do not think I can win. Oh my god. Yeah, I know. It's a you're very cool. Okay. You know what? I lied. I'm going to break my own rule here. Our opponent has won. We'll be polite. Give him a good game. There's no way this deck comes back from this under any circumstance. Thank you all for watching. I do apologize for my bitch moaning and complaining. But with our next deck, will likely be a less aggro deck, so I'll have a couple days to, like, take on the characteristics of that deck. So I'll probably be a little more patient next time. Thank you all for watching. And remember, I'm pulling for you. We're all in this together.